What up, my fellow NBA lovers? This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and this will be What a Workplace Friends Volume 1, starring Kevin Durant and Draymond Green, as they reflected on their time playing for the Golden State Warriors, and what exactly led to Kevin Durant's exit. And the reason why I'm naming this What a Workplace Friends, because like in any other job, people are cordial with one another due to circumstance, and their overall objective is the main goal of the job or organization that they work for, and it plays out no different here with Kevin Durant and Draymond Green. Now, as far as the Golden State Warriors, this is a very interesting team due to the dynamics, past and present, that played out. So this is going to be a multiple layered breakdown I'm going to do of this video. First of all, I want to start off in the past. The 2008 Golden State Warriors were a dominant team from the outside looking in, but I remember when they won the championship, Steve Kerr had mentioned in the podium that they had a very difficult time during the season. And once again, this team pretty much dominated from start to end. So he's clearly talking about something that's behind the scenes. Now, the following season, 2018-2019, we seen Draymond Green and Kevin Durant have a dust up during the Clippers game. And we started to see exactly what Steve Kerr was talking about. So over time, I would say about 6 to 7 years from now, we'll get the overall breakdown of what was going on with this Golden State Warriors team. But somehow, with the media landscape changing and NBA players having their own podcasts, we're starting to get an early preview while the players are still in their playing days of what exactly went on. Now, Draymond Green and Kevin Durant did this sit down, and they both had different motives. First of all, Kevin Durant really has no dog in this fight. Of course, he plays for the Brooklyn Nets, and he's looking to win a championship on his own. Now, Draymond Green, very interesting, is that he still plays for the Golden State Warriors, and in this interview, he somehow throws Steve Kerr and the Golden State's general manager under the bus while he's still playing for the team. So I'm wondering how that's going to play out. Draymond Green is in a favorable contract. He gets about $25 million a year, so he is a good tradable asset. Now, he is of the age of 31. So is Klay Thompson, and Stephen Curry is age 33. So they're pretty much in the twilight years of their career, and they got to make something happen now. So interesting enough, with Klay Thompson returning, it's going to be the beginning of the Golden State Warriors to make an evaluation on whether to trade him or not. With Klay Thompson making a return this upcoming season, it's going to give us a clearer picture on what level the Golden State Warriors are exactly performing in. And don't be surprised that Draymond Green ends up in the trading block if this thing begins to go left. Now, the Warriors were not able to get a star, either going after Bradley Beal or Damian Lillard, so they end up using their 7th overall pick on Jonathan Kuminga. And they also have James Wiseman on the floor, which, ironic enough, Stephen Curry plays much better without him on the floor. But anyway, you guys check out this segment, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
And for my own personal sanity, because I've been getting my ass kicked ever since you left. So just for my own personal sanity, how much did our argument against the Clippers drive you to ultimately lead the Warriors?
It wasn't the argument, it was the way that everybody, Steve Kerr act like it didn't happen, Bob Myers, and tried to just discipline you and think that that would put the mask over everything. I really felt like that was such a big situation for us as a group. The first time we went through something like that, we had to get that shit all out. I remember watching The Last Dance, and when Scotty didn't go into the game, the whole team in the locker room said, "Scotty, that was fucked up that you did that." We needed that.
Now, in corporate America, this tends to be a major issue. Just overall, in most jobs in America, they're very HR sensitive, and they don't really confront issues head on. This is a major problem. So this is a good point brought up by Kevin Durant here.
Needed to throw all of that shit out on the table and say, "Yo, Dre, K, like that was fucked up that we even had to go through that. Let's just wipe our hands with that and go finish the task." I don't think we did that, and we tried to dance around it. I just didn't like how all of that, just the vibe between all of that, it just made shit weird to me.
I think the vibe of all that was the beginning of the end of everything that accumulated in 2018 when you guys straight dominated the league, but there were things going on behind the scenes. This is what Steve Kerr was alluding to A lot of people didn't know what he was talking about because after they won the championship, he was just like, "Oh, it's been tough. It's been a real tough year." But just looking back at it, they didn't really lose any games. They dominated the whole year from start to end. So this was the first time that the audience saw what was going on behind the scenes because it clearly blew up during the Clippers game when Kevin Durant and Draymond Green was going back and forth.
And I'd rather us be who we say we are, family first. Communication is key. We didn't show that, and that's what rubbed me the wrong way more than anything.
When we landed back from LA, I sat in Hazel was sitting in the car for an hour and 45 minutes. They pulled me in that room at Signature for an hour and 45 minutes, and they tried to tell me, you need to apologize. And I told them, I'll talk to Kay, but y'all aren't going to tell me what I need to say. Mm-hmm. And, they went on for an hour and 45 minutes saying a bunch of bullshit. And ultimately, they realized, all right, we're not getting through to him. We're going to try again in the morning. And so
that's interesting. They were talking to him for an hour and 45 minutes about this. Once again, this is a buildup from the year prior when they dominated, where once again, it just looked good from the outside looking in. But internally, they were going through something. And like I said, years from now, when they do their final sit down, when they're all out of the league, they can actually get everything out. This is going to be very interesting. But for Draymond Green, it's interesting that he's going over it now while he's still playing for the team. And I'm wondering if last season or just the year before, were the Warriors looking to move him? It's very interesting to see how that's going to play out because the Warriors, the way they're built and the way they're made up, Stephen Curry's their best player, but he's not the guy that pretty much galvanizes the rest of the team to actually turn up and just, let's motivate them and let's come back. He's not a rah-rah guy like Draymond. Draymond is that guy. He's the enforcer of the team, but he is not the best player. And Klay Thompson, quiet as kept, man, he is the most valuable piece, I would say, outside of Steph to this team because the fact that he can play his sort of Scottie Pippen role without making a fuss, without trying to be the star, he just, kind of stays in the background and does his thing. That is a very valuable thing because you could clearly see with Scottie Pippen even playing out today, there's a lot of jealousy, man, that he has and a lot of envy that he has towards the role or just the perception of what kind of player he was being behind someone like Michael Jordan.
So we met the next morning and they said, all right, you slept on it, you ready to apologize. And I told them right then and there, I said, y'all about to fuck this up. I said, the only person that can make this right is me and Kay.
Clearly, they're not going to fuck it up. Clearly, you fucked it up because you let the audience see that you guys were having dust-ups behind the scene. That's pretty much what they're alluding to, Draymond. You clearly didn't have it handled because it blew up right in front of everybody. As you can see, Kevin Durant here, he's not a guy that's going to pretty much go back and forth with someone. He doesn't like to argue. Like I said before, Draymond's personality, he's more like the enforcer, the guy that's going to get guys, galvanized during practice, hype to make a comeback. He's sort of that type of leader of the team. He's the vocal leader, the enforcer of the team. And Kevin Durant, Steph, and Klay Thompson, they sort of have a laid-back, chilled personality. That's why I said this Golden State Warriors team has a very unique makeup because we're so used to the dominant player, the guy with the most talent, having all these attributes. But in this Golden State Warrior team, the most skilled guys were the most laid-back guys. It's just a very unique situation.
And there's nothing that y'all can do, and y'all are going to fuck this up. And in my opinion, they fucked it up.
I think so too.
And they told me right then and there, like, we're going to suspend you for this game. I laughed in their face, literally laughed in their face. And Bob said to me, he said, wow, that was not the reaction I was looking for or expecting. And I said, well, either I'm going to laugh in your face or I'm going to cuss you the fuck out. So you pick, I'm going to choose laugh. So I think what you're doing is funny, and so I'm going to laugh.
It's so crazy, Draymond Green. I wonder if you really told him that. I'm going to curse you the fuck out. That's crazy, man. I mean, that's clearly one of the guys that are in charge of you, getting your checks, man. That's kind of crazy. That shows you how untainable at times Draymond is. And he pretty much has the same dust up with Steve Kerr every once in a while.
And so it's interesting to hear you say essentially the same thing that I told them that day. But, and
KD somewhat agreed. He somewhat agreed. He didn't really fully agree with you there, but Draymond should have had him elaborate. He sort of took his head nod and just ran with it.
moving past that, kind of along those same lines, you've now played with Russ, who I think has an incredible chip on his shoulder that sometimes goes too far. Myself, who has a chip on my shoulder that sometimes goes too far.
Yeah, you definitely go too far, Draymond. But once again, as the interview started, Draymond said for his sanity, because not only Draymond's emotions have cost the Warriors the 2016 championship by him getting suspended, now it almost cost him the 2018-2019 season with that dust up with KD. Even though they still end up making it to the finals, they probably knew KD was leaving, but they were trying to pretty much pick up the pieces and try to at least win that championship for that year. Draymond seemed like he had an issue with KD even making decisions on his own. He thought possibly he could control him. That's how it comes across to me. But once again, like I said, later on down the line, when these guys are all retired, it is going to be very interesting to see some of the stuff that comes out from some of these players of what went on behind the scenes. And just quickly, I'm going to elaborate on this. This type of meeting here, especially with Draymond and KD touching on a subject like this while they're still playing, especially Draymond while he's still playing for the Warriors, which is weird enough. This is going to be the new media landscape. And a lot of members of the old school traditional media, they're kind of scared of this because right now, KD and Draymond right here are trying to form their own narrative of what happened. Once again, this is a very interesting landscape we are in today right now. The players actually have a lot of power off the court, and it's not just financial.
Kyrie, who has a chip on his shoulder that sometimes goes too far. And James, who has a chip on his shoulder that probably sometimes goes too far. And playing with all the guys that you play with, that you could say, he probably go way too far.
We all go too far, bro, and we all got major chips on our shoulders. There's a million of us. Imagine a million people trying to run into this door right now. Somebody gonna get elbowed, kicked, pushed over. Like, we all trying to fit into a one-peg spot. Millions of us trying to fit into these 12, 15 spots on teams. So we gotta have that chip on our shoulder, and I always appreciated people that acknowledge that it's tough to make it to the league. And I had to kick a lot of motherfuckers down to get here. I had to shun a lot of my friends and sacrifice a lot of the personal shit that I loved as a kid so I can get here. So we all of us naturally are underdogs, got chips on our shoulders because it's hard to make it to this point. But the person that went too far was always Draymond Green. I mean, to the point where I felt like you were trying to establish that you're not playing around. Like, you're not gonna walk over me, even though I was a second-round pick and I'm undersized and I'm not as skilled as y'all want me to be, or I don't play the way y'all traditionally like for people my size to play. I felt that same way about Russell Westbrook because of his story. I felt that same way about James Harden because I know his story from, like, when these dudes was kids, what they had to go through as everyday people, not just on the court. It's hard to make it through life every day, you know what I'm saying, where some of these people come from, you know? So I started understanding that about people. I'm realizing, like, now I see why they show their ego, they show the pride that they have, they show the chip that they have on their shoulder because it's hard as shit to make it every day, you know what I'm saying? But you pushed it to the limit where it's like, it's cool for me to be who I am and and not apologize for it all the time. Because, you know what I mean, you ain't mean no harm to anybody, but shit that you want it done, you want it done. And we all respected that. And we all kind of looked up to that as guys that come into the league and want to fit into this system so bad. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Like, wanting to be a part of this whole thing. Then you realize you see dudes who just going by their own little pace, and it's like, oh, that's more so of my rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the guys that I play with, from Russ to James to Kai to Steph to Clay, they all kind of moved at the beat of their own drum. That encourages a lot of people to do the same shit, not just basketball players, but people in general who just watch us. dealing with everybody every single day, I started thinking like that. And I started seeing the beauty in all of this shit.
To watch you early on in your career, like you said, you was the happy one. You was the kid that carried the backpack. Nike started a backpack line because you always, and you to this day, you still carry a
do it,
backpack all the time.
Yeah, I remember KD was that guy that was carrying that Bible around. They weren't sure what to do with his image when he first came in the league. He was just this really skinny kid. He wasn't really promoted like that. Wasn't really big on social media yet. He was just all about playing ball. They didn't really know how to market him. So I think that's the reason why even today he's not really marketed as the guy to go up against LeBron. All of us kind of think of Carmelo like that in a way. Even still, even though Carmelo never really lived up to that, we think of Melo as LeBron's rival because Melo off rip was marketed and introduced to the NBA audience as that person, and KD really wasn't. People thought Greg Oden was a better pick than KD was.
And so there's this common misconception that you're not the kid that carries the backpack anymore. I still think you're the kid that loves basketball and carry a backpack.
Yeah.
But over the course of the years, your answers to the media, how you deal with the media has changed. Why is that? Is that just who you grew into? Is that because of the way they act with certain shit? Where did that?
First of all, before he gets to it, I want to say clearly he's like that now because he's empowered. He can get his narrative out, he can get his voice out, he can actually clap back at the media. So the media right now is in a very interesting landscape because a lot of players, even beyond the superstars, are starting to clap back at the media, trying to question their sources, and trying to actually call them out in public. So a lot of these guys are being questioned, which is a good thing because the media will actually throw something out there, see if it sticks, and if it's completely off base, they'll just act like they're the victim. I didn't mean it. They're sort of like one of these bullshit instigators you see in when you're in I guess elementary school. The guy who instigates all the fights, but yet when it's his turn to fight, he claims he's just a media guy or he's just an innocent guy relaying a message.
I felt like the media knew more than me. I almost had them on a pedestal of like, they got more history, knowledge of the game, they more experienced than me in this area of the NBA. So once I started to get more experience and realize like, oh no, they can never be what I am or know what I know or understand it the way I understand it. Some of the questions, they didn't seem so intelligent to me anymore. People wanted to praise me more than I liked or hate me more than I liked, make a big deal out of so much other shit. And I was just like,
Yeah, that's because a lot of the members of the media now are actually competing with social media. So that journalism shit is pretty much gone now. Everything is pretty much clickbait. You kind of have to be an actor, not an analyst, sort of like Stephen A. Smith now.
this game is simple to me. So some of the stuff that y'all asking really doesn't move me the way it used to. I just, starting to see life different. I can see this game different. So, of course my answers and questions, about what goes on is going to be different too. So I just chalk that up to just maturity and experience.
And speaking of media, social media, obviously we were teammates when you got caught with the burner account. One thing I love about the burner account is everything that you said on the burner account, you just started to say on Kevin Durant's account.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like it, as most people voice.
Whoa, I need to stop Draymond right there. Everything he said on the burner account, he said on KD's account. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Why would you need the burner account then? But KD gotta watch out for that. There's no need for any of that, man. Like, there's pretty much no one in the world can bust your ass in ball, man. Like you're top notch. It doesn't make any sense.
don't like how you respond to some fans or how you respond to this, how you are always tweeting. What do you make of people's reaction to you responding to fans? And if you think something, you send it.
Yeah. I just think people are still upset that I went to the Warriors, and a lot of people who are Cavs fans who enjoy watching the Cavs beat y'all before.
AKA a lot of the LeBron James plants in the media. That's mainly what it is. That should be mainly what Kevin Durant should be alluding to. It's all the guys in the media that were upset when KD had transferred over to the Warriors, basically taking championships away from LeBron.
Which is a lot of people. I didn't realize that until I got there. A lot of people enjoy seeing y'all lose in 2016. And a lot of those people were upset that we were so good. And they're still upset because you do the same shit on Twitter. Damian Lillard does the same shit on Twitter. CJ McCollum does the same shit on Twitter.
LeBron James does the same shit on Twitter, aka when he says "washed king." Who you think he's talking to?
All do the same shit on Twitter, but for me, it's a problem. I mean, I chalk it up to just me being so good at what I do and playing with a team that was so great, and we fit so well. Nobody likes a great thing.
And you know what's interesting about that Golden State Warriors team? They drafted all their players, and they actually only went after one superstar free agent. But yet guys like, the Miami Heat with LeBron James, D Wade, and Bosh, they can go after the top-notch players, but it doesn't get looked at the same, even though these guys were at their peak, and they were all top lottery picks, unlike the Golden State Warriors.
I guess I was the cause of that great thing because I came and joined. So it's way deeper than what I do on Twitter. And I understand that. And it's funny to me at this point because you can't erase what we did. You're never going to erase it. And you love watching us play. You know what I'm saying? So
I think it's the best era of basketball ever, in my opinion.
But that's really what it is. So many people still upset with me that I chose.
No, it's not the best era of basketball ever. You guys were just ahead of the curve with the rule changes and adjusting your three-point shots. And at the same time, when the rest of the league caught up, you guys pretty much needed Kevin Durant. That's the ironic part about these Golden State Warriors. The fan base realized they needed KD. And if Klay Thompson returns and they don't see any more success, that narrative is going to get larger and larger.
Play basketball for the Golden State Warriors, which is sad at this point because it's almost a decade later since I made that decision, you know what I'm saying? That's never going to stop me from engaging with fans because at the end of the day, I'm only talking about basketball. I'm not diving into politics. I'm not telling you how you should live. I'm not flexing my money or my power or none of that shit on you. I'm just literally talking about the game, and what I see. And I don't think it harms anyone.
I would love to see D-Book win a championship. But in my opinion, the finals does not compare to Warriors, Cavs, Warriors.
Nah.
Even Warriors, Raptors. Do you have any regrets about that, knowing that we probably would have won 5 more championships?
Nah, I don't have any regrets at all. I felt like we did exactly what we were supposed to do. And I wish it would have three-peated because that's rare.
Yeah, that would have been rare. Had KD three-peated, it would have only been Michael Jordan, Shaq, and KD to three-peat and win 3 straight finals MVP. Yeah, that was pretty much a heartbreaker, but KD definitely would have been in an elite class right there.
We were like right there, but I don't have any regrets at all because I feel like if we just stay healthy with the Nets, we had a great chance of finishing too. So, I mean, being hurt for that year really changed my perspective on everything that I was doing and everything that I did before. I looked at that time with playing with the Warriors as so special to me, but it was time to move on.
That pretty much was the college years, sort of like with LeBron. Just the years of just learning how to win, how to become a champion. What is it all about? What leadership skills it takes. Pretty much once these guys figure it out, they can go out on their own, assemble their own teams, and pretty much get to the promised land. They pretty much have the blueprint. That was LeBron James from 2012 to about 2014-15. And then same thing with KD when he went to the Golden State Warriors.
So now you're in this space with the Nets, and everybody has made this big deal about Kyrie and his beliefs and him missing games, and just like we all do, he got his shit.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are now saying that is what's going to cost y'all ultimately of reaching where y'all want to reach. What do you make of that?
I mean, I just think people don't like Kyrie because he wanted to leave Cleveland and he wanted to leave Boston. I don't think it's any deeper than that.
AKA the LeBron James analyst, man. Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, all the LeBron James guys sprinkled throughout the media. Kevin Durant alerted to this earlier. He made it seem like he was talking about the fans, but he's talking about his decision to go to Golden State kind of revealed some of the plants in the media that kind of hangs on LeBron's team.
He doesn't harm anyone. He hasn't said anything that's disrespectful to anybody. He's game is beautiful to watch. I just think people don't like the decisions on where he chooses to play.
Yep. He went against LeBron James, and then most importantly, he went against the Boston Celtics, which a large portion of the NBA media is in Boston. So once Kyrie left the Celtics, all of a sudden, all these stories started coming out from Boston beat writers about what was going on with Kyrie. And we heard this and we heard that, and this leaked out. Really, ironically, it's from you guys. All those members of the media all graduated from schools in Boston, and they do nothing but beat writing for the Celtics, and they have a lot of connections with those teams and just overall with everything in the Boston area.
And they sort of amplify everything because everybody in this league has their shit. They may say something over a course of 6 months that everybody may not agree with. That's just the nature of our business. You know, when you're that good at what you do, everything is a little amplified, and sometimes it's a little extra, you know. So what Kyrie does, especially in our building, nobody is making a big deal out of it. Just like a lot of shit we did in our building, we didn't give a shit if Clay missed practice. Like, who cares? Like, as long as you're there for the games, as long as you healthy enough to play, like, we didn't give a shit. Like, when you and coach cursed each other out, literally as soon as the practice was over with, it was cool. Like, you know, so it was like everybody's mature enough to understand, like, we come to work, we handle our business, and you be who you are.
So what's next for you? You got, probably 10 more years left of hooping.
I hope so.
What comes after that? Have you gotten there yet, or are you still just so locked in on basketball that it's just that?
You know, definitely want to stay involved in the game. I'm learning so much now. I don't know where I could use it at. Coaching, GM, ownership. I feel like I'm gathering so much knowledge that I could be useful in any part of this game. But outside of that, I have other interests in tech world, media space, art, all of that stuff that, I enjoy doing in my leisure time,
Kevin Durant low-key is making a killing in the media world. I see a couple years ago when he went back to Brooklyn, he kind of rebranded himself with the media. He got back on the good side of Stephen A. Smith. He had an exclusive deal with ESPN Plus. I see, he's making some good landings in the media world, especially with the Joe Budden podcast situation. He was able to snag up some of his co-hosts and grab some of that audience with Rory and Maul. So he's doing big things. He has multiple podcasts besides his own that's actually doing their thing. And it's a good space to be in for him, especially he's still in his playing career and he's making good moves outside of it.
To get involved in at some point. But for now, you know what I'm about. You know what I enjoy to do every day. So until that time is up, then we'll see what happens. But I feel like I'm setting up stuff on the back end of things that I can have options.
I think people look at us and they say, oh man, you play basketball for a living, you should be happy, which is great, right? Like, you love basketball, I love basketball. Being able to do that and make the type of money we make is incredible. But with that comes a lot of fucking scrutiny, comes a lot of headaches. What is the happiest you've been as a professional?
I don't even like to use the word happiness. That's just a fleeting feeling. It can just go so up and down.
Facts. Kevin Durant, I'm telling you, man, he's on a different level now. He's starting to understand.
Chase that feeling. It's just not the efficient way for me to live. I feel like just having peace and really simply just enjoying being alive every day is the best place for me to be. I don't want to be happy and sad. Like, I don't even want to have to go through that. I just want to just kind of float through life. I experience so much. I just want to take on every experience for what it is and enjoy it in the moment, So
Yeah, that space that he's in it's going to really throw off the media because they kind of play on those emotions of him just caring about what they say, them making him upset. They play off of that. So when you get into a space like that, the media can no longer really manipulate you. As Kevin Durant's pretty much probably throughout his career has learned.
I want to chase happiness, so that I just try to stay even.
I respect that. Appreciate it, bro.
Man, that was incredible talk,
Yes,
my
sir.
brother.
Yes, sir, and definitely it was. And it's very interesting for Draymond because, once again, he's still on the Warriors. He's locked in for 3 years at about 25 mil, 24 mil. And his last year, I believe, is 27 million, which is a pretty good deal for someone of his skill set. But once again, with Klay Thompson coming back during Christmas, it's going to be a referendum on the Warriors, man. We're going to see where this team is really at because they still have their young guns in Wiseman and Kuminga, and can they assemble a package for a guy like Dame or Bradley Beal? So if Klay Thompson is not really healthy, he can't play like he used to. Don't be surprised if Draymond Green goes on the trading block. And as far as Kevin Durant, he's moved on. He's moved on, and if the Warriors aren't successful in due time, everything is kind of going to prove itself that the Warriors really needed him at that time. So this has been once again a sneak peek of to when these guys are going to really do a sit down when they're retired. It's interesting. We're kind of getting a preview of it now. But the sit down with the Golden State Warriors is going to be very interesting. Cause I'm pretty sure Steve Kerr is going to start dropping some stories. Bob Myers is going to start dropping some stories. And we're going to see that 2018 season where the Warriors dominated, that there were things going on behind the scenes that were not really conducive, that the fan base didn't really see. And it led to that blow up the following season with the Clippers with Draymond Green and Kevin Durant. So we'll see how it plays out. Until next time, you guys stay safe. Peace.